What's up, everybody? Alex here from Columbus. Welcome back to another video. It's been a minute, couple weeks, 10 days, I don't know. It's been a little while since I posted a video. Just been busy with work and life and pain and suffering. The point is, we're back with the video, and what better way to kind of come back than talking about some recent vinyl finds. So, you know, I do a lot of haul videos, a lot of dollar bangers, like those types of things, but I also spend an absurd, stupid amount of cash that I don't have on other stuff, other records, new releases, old releases, all that type of stuff. So I got about 12, 13 or so records here that sort of date back, I don't know, over the last probably 2 months maybe, but I'm calling this June 2025 Vinyl Finds Part 1, if that makes any sense. So again, some new, some old, some random, some things I've been really looking forward to, and kind of all over the map. You all know how we do here. So to those out there celebrating, whatever that means, cheers, happy Wednesday, or whatever day it is when you're watching. A good old light beer on a Wednesday. So let's dive in. This first one, I can't believe. Well, I can believe because I knew I didn't have it. You probably had those records that you're like, I need to pick that up. I've needed to pick that up for 5 years. There's no reason you haven't picked it up. It's readily available. It's always in stock. It's not expensive. You just haven't bought it. And so there was a sale on UDiscover. And so this record dropped, I think, to $19, free shipping. And I said, you know what? Snag the damn record. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a controversial take here. The record itself is the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, the second record from Black Crowes. So, I mean, I love the Black Crowes, the Robinson Brothers. I think they're brilliant. I think this is one of the coolest bands ever. I have always joked that if I was going to be in a band, I would want it to be a band that sounded like the Black Crowes. You know, it's like they just got this attitude, kind of like the Faces. It's just like good old-fashioned, you know, drunken bar rock and roll, but they added so much more to that. Now, their first record, of course, Shake Your Moneymaker, was a mega hit. I mean, the thing sold a gazillion records. It's an insanely perfect record. So many great songs on there, hit after hit after hit after hit. And then this comes out, and what's interesting, and this is where I sort of pose the question, I think so many people would probably look at this as sort of like a letdown, if you will. But I think sonically and just stylistically, this is such a different album than Shake Your Moneymaker. I mean, this is a rootsy album. This is a heavily gospel-influenced album. You could argue that this is a more diverse and eclectic album. And so what I kind of love about this, I'm not one to say what's better than the other. You like what you like, all that type of stuff. I think it's really cool, though, that, you know, they released this record first that had all these huge hits, perfect songs all over the radio. This comes out, the Remedy was a huge hit for them, but so many of these other songs are more deep cuts that people don't talk about as much. So I just think this is a fantastic record that, again, leans into more the rootsy, soulful sort of side of Black Crowes, and I love it for that reason. So I don't know, I'm curious if people agree or disagree about, you know, was it a letdown? Is it a disappointment? Is it just as good? Curious to your thoughts. Now, this next artist, this is a brand new record from 2025 that I've wanted for a little while now. And I want to give a shout out to Glenn Kellaway from the Basement. I don't know if he watches my stuff anymore. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on. He posts like 3 videos a day. But if you're out there, Glenn, love you, brother. And I thank Glenn for this one because he's been talking about this artist for a long time. He's one of his favorite jazz artists, especially contemporary jazz artists. And it is the Japanese sort of keyboard prodigy, Heromi. And this is the 2025 record, her record Out There, which is a brilliant, funky jazz fusion record. And she's put out a lot of records now. I mean, she put out one just last year called Sonic Wonder, but something like that. Sonic Wonder, because this is now Hiromi's Sonic Wonder. Yeah, I mean, if you like old school funky jazz fusion stuff, you'll love this. I mean, I think Glenn did give kind of the comparison to, you know, definitely the chops of a Chick Corea, but with a lot, you know, kind of a lot of energy out there. I think he said the chops of Chick Corea with like the energy of, I almost said Jerry Lee Jones. That is a joke. Jerry Lee Lewis. But yeah, I mean, this falls into like, if you just don't think that there's any good jazz out right now, contemporary, I mean, you just haven't looked enough. Check out Heromi. This is an outstanding record. There's one vocal track on here I'm not crazy about, but that's also just because I'm not crazy about vocal tracks in the jazz. But check it out. It is Out There by Heromi and Heromi Sonic Wonder. An amazing, amazing record that came out this year. I'm still in the Nick Cave hole. And one of the albums, shout out to Ben Rankins, one of the albums that I knew I had to get. I had been putting it off for a while, and finally his video that him and I did talking about Nick Cave and the whole discography, he's like, you need to get this record. So I said, okay, fine, I'll get the record. And I say this non-hyperbole, this quickly became one of my favorite records of all time, based almost purely on the emotional elicitation that it gives you while listening to it. And that is 2019's Ghosteen. What a record. I mean, Nick Cave, there's so much in his discography. Record to record, things sound the same, they sound different. It's all over the place. At this point, this is almost like a ambient, moody, atmospheric record. It's one of the most depressing records I've ever heard in my entire life. Interestingly enough, about depressing music that impacts you so much emotionally, what's cool about it is it makes you very, 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 very sad, which is not typically a good thing when things make you sad. But as music fans, when art is able to have such an emotional chokehold on you, there is joy in that impact. And I cannot explain enough how much of that emotional sort of jarring impact this record had and has on me still. I mean, I kind of want to do a video of just like albums that have done that. And the truth is there's not a whole lot of them, and this is one of them. So I kid you not, this has quickly jumped to arguably a favorite album of all time. I can't get enough of it. I've probably listened to it 10 times since I got it a couple weeks ago. It's just absurdly good. So yeah, Ghosteen from Nick Cave. What a great record that is. And I think kind of like I don't want to say the little brother to it, but something that is in sort of a similar vein, stylistically at least, as the one that came out before that, Skeleton Tree. Maybe not as good, but again, stylistically very, very similar. It's again kind of got that ambient sort of atmospheric vibe to it. I will say Girl in Amber is one of the best songs he's written. And there's just so much on here that's just absolutely beautiful. So a double shot of Nick Cave with Skeleton Tree and Ghosteen. And hey, look, I'm continuing to build out that Nick Cave collection. Here's a fun one that I've been looking forward to, and I'm curious. I've seen a good amount of people talk about this in the YouTube world. This is a band that is from the 70s, and I think their heyday is the 70s. They get some trash on YouTube, people, for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. But I think a lot of people sold them out because they don't have some of the original members, and one of the lead persons has been gone for years and years and years. And again, it's like, a lot of people don't like newer music from older bands, but this is a band that their last 2 albums have been absolutely incredible and to me are just as good and powerful as what was coming out in the mid to late 70s. So when they announced this, I had to pick it up, and that is the latest from Styx, Circling from Above. First of all, beautiful artwork. Great back. We got that gatefold on that baby girl. All right, so who's even in Styx anymore? Well, you still got JY, the grandfather of Styx. You still got Tommy Shaw, who is the ageless wonder. That man does not age. For my Canadian friends who don't know, Lawrence Gowan of Gowan had sort of taken the place of Dennis DeYoung, but that was like, 30 years ago? I mean, he's been in the band now for such a long time, and he's such a great writer, composer, performer. It's almost just unfair to call him the Dennis DeYoung replacement. I mean, he does so much. As a whole. Todd Zuckerman on drums, who's one of the best drummers in the game, outstanding. But they've had a pretty consistent lineup for the most part. Their bassist kind of left not too long ago, Ricky Phillips of, what was he, Bad English and the Babies fame, that he had been with Styx for about 30 years or so. But anyway, here's what I'll say about this. I don't like it as much as The Mission and Crash of the Crown, which were the 2 before this. but those are damn near perfect records. So this is still really, really good. It hasn't grabbed me as much as those have, and I've listened to it probably about 4 or 5 times now, but it's still really, really good. What I actually appreciate, this is what's kind of cool. People are confused by this. So I think this is a universal music thing, and then depending on the artist. So they announced that, hey, this record's coming out in July of 2025. You'll be able to stream it and buy it from your local stores or box stores or Amazon or whatever in July of 2025. However, if you buy off the website right now, which is basically you Discover Universal, we'll ship it to you tomorrow. I think it's brilliant, right? What a way to get physical media back in the hands, right? Now you want the physical media in your hands, so you're not going to wait so that you can stream it in, a month and a half or 2 months. No, you want the physical media so you can buy the vinyl, you can buy the CD from the website right now. You can also buy it on tour from them. So Styx has got a brand new record out there. This is just good, kind of progressive rock. I'm not going to call it proggy per se, but it's just good progressive rock. Amazing hooks still, great harmonies, great playing, great vocals, all that type of stuff all the way around. So yeah, incredible stuff. The latest from Styx. Love that record, love that band. This was the latest from the Rhino High Fidelity series. They just released 2 of them, and this was the one I was really interested in because I don't see a whole lot of pressings of this out there, and I love this band a lot, and that is Wilco AM, their first record from 1995. It's funny, Wilco certainly falls into, I will self-own that I'm a basic-ass white boy, and I love Wilco. I'm not as up on the whole history of Uncle Tupelo and what Sunvolt and all that type of stuff, and all that type of stuff. All I know is I really love Wilco. I love Wilco a lot. And I understand that this one is kind of it's their first record. They're still kind of leaning more into that alternative country sound that you don't get as much on more of just the indie hipster type amazing stuff later. But I like this record a lot. To me, Jeff Tweedy is one of the best songwriters of our generation. And I just fucking love Wilco a lot. I don't know what more I can say about it. So an amazing album. Of course, it sounds really good. It's got the whole spiel from Kevin Gray and Coherent Audio. This one is numbered. This is number 2,621 out of 5G. And I'm just super happy with this. Again, I usually don't go for these Rhino Hi-Fis or the audiophile stuff because I'm very selective with what I decide to go with based on the availability of other pressings. And this is something that I don't see very much. I don't know how many times it's been repressed. I know that there's some other cuts from several years ago, but to me, it's what I wanted, so I did it. Here's something that I grabbed that was pretty cheap. This is one of those 50% off on Amazon jobs that is mostly because I'm a completist, and this kind of record has a special place for me, but it's Dream Theater, live at Madison Square Garden in 2010. I'm a huge Dream Theater fan. They're my favorite band of all time. Kind of a completist with them. Several years ago, they started this Lost Not Forgotten archive series, which is sort of their official bootleg series, right? It's all obviously their stuff. They're releasing it, but officially. And that has included a bunch of demos and live shows, and they've done a ton of releases. In fact, when they first started this, I was like, oh, they'll probably do a handful. I feel like they've released 20 of these things. I grabbed this one, A, because it was cheap, and B, because there's a kind of a fun story with it. In 2010, they're actually on tour opening for Iron Maiden. And so this show was taken from that, this album was taken from the show that they were opening for them at Madison Square Garden back in 2010. I saw them in 2010 as an offshoot show off of this tour. So while they were opening for Iron Maiden and kind of playing their, hour opening sets or whatever, they played a couple of really small shows where they headlined. And one of those shows was down here actually in Columbus, Ohio. And I got to see them at the Newport Music Hall doing a headline show in 2010. It was probably a month later, 2 months later, something like that, that Mike Portnoy would end up leaving the band. And so this is kind of that last official recording of Mike being in the band before he would ultimately return this year, last year, whatever it was, 13, 14 years later. So kind of cool because I saw them on this tour, but I didn't see them on this tour. I saw them in this year as an offshoot from this tour. That's why I wanted it. The thing is with these, official Lost Not Forgotten series. I will say sonically inconsistent. Some of these that I have sound spectacular. They sound like, this should have been an official live album. Other ones sound like, official bootlegs, right? I don't know, however the sound was gathered, not a ton of overdubs, that type of stuff. This kind of falls in the middle. Sonically, it's not amazing, but it's also not terrible. Again, kind of thinking about whatever that sound setup was for as an opener, an opening slot in a big arena, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I'm still glad I have it, but I think sonically a little bit inconsistent across the board for the series. Here's an album that I had heard the great, I don't think he watches my stuff, but he's a good guy and he lives about 40 minutes up the road. Grant Arthur, Grant's Rock Warehouse. Great channel. He talks about this record all the time as like the best AOR band and album that you have not heard of. And that's from 1979. The band is Aviary. And this is cool. This is a cheap record. You can find this record anywhere. And most of them are the promo copies, actually, like this one is with the strip and all that type of stuff. And it's on the white label. This is one of the coolest, most, expressive, difficult to identify stylistic records. I mean, yes, it's AOR in the sense that we're talking late 70s, huge hooks, big hooks, great writing, great guitars all over the place. But then there's this other element of like quirkiness and oddness to it that just is, it's perfect. It's kind of all over the place, but in a really cool way. I'm telling you, if you're into that era of stuff, even if this kind of falls into, again, a lot of the standard late 70s stuff, whether you're talking about Boston or Foreigner or the Babies or those bands, but this has like this additional layer of like pizzazz to it that's super artsy and super fun. So it's about a $5 record. You can find it. Check your A section by Aviary. It's a cool album, and you should dig it. Here's an artist that I need more of. I saw the great Michael P. Dawson, who I believe is one of the best channels on YouTube. I love that guy. He showed a record from this bunch and then did like a 10-second sound clip. And I was like, I've never heard of that band, but I need to get into it. And then like the next day I saw it in a record store. But the band is Cockney Rebel, or Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel, or Cockney Rebel and Steve Harley. It's kind of a convoluted thing, but this is their first record, The Human Menagerie of Cockney Rebel, 1973, I believe. This is so good. I mean, this is like, if you're kind of a fan of that early to mid 70s, I'm not sure what to call it because it's super artsy, it's super pop and accessible, it's super goofy, it's very this is like Bebop Deluxe meets Roxy Music meets Sensational Alex Harvey. And if you like those three bands, this is so good. I mean, you can kind of tell just by the artwork here. It is so fun and artsy, but it's progressive, it's hard rock, it's poppy, it has this sort of vaudevillian sense to it. It's just amazing. So I'm like forever on the lookout for more Cockney Rebel / Steve Harley stuff. I just think it's dope. So if anybody's a fan of these guys, let me know. But that record I love. There's a song on here about Sebastian. It's called Sebastian. I don't know if he was under the sea or smacking other crabs or whatever, but that is a great song. Check it out. Here's a record that I have no shame in admitting that I bought it off Amazon because it was like $22, and I think normally it's like a $38 record. And it's something I've heard was one of the greatest records of all time. And it might be. Disintegration from The Cure. 1989, 71 minutes of music. The Cure record from last year, Songs of a Lost World or whatever it's called, I love. I think that was like number 3 on my list of 20 of my favorite records of 2024. And a lot of people, I think, were kind of comparing it to this record. Not in a negative way, but comparing it in the sense of the atmosphere, comparing the sonics, comparing, not that this song sounds like this song, but basically that is an album that puts you in that similar space as this record. And I've heard so many people talk about this. And I think The Cure, for me, is one of those bands that I'm still in discovery of. But I listened to this the other day, and man, what a record this is. I know The Cure is not for everybody, and people like to poke fun, but man, if you know, you know. What a beautiful record this is. I absolutely love it. Had some of the hits on there, like Pictures of You and that type of stuff. But I mean, across the board, there's just this atmosphere about this record that I absolutely love, and yeah, I'm digging it. And last but not least is was kind of a blind pick, because it was about, I was buying something off Laser CD, a bunch of prog stuff, because I'm a fucking nerd, and there was a section that said, here's a bunch of cheap stuff that's 40% off. So I think I paid around $14 for this record. I read the description of it, and I said, you know what, I can drop $14. You know, for those who know me, I compare everything back to food. I was like, I can give up a burrito and a side of chips and guac from Chipotle by buying this record. Now, Richard S., I know you're watching because you're just the best and you watch videos and you're like the coolest person ever, from Richard's Vinyl Tap House. If you're watching, put this on your radar. I'm not saying go buy it, because we got enough people to tell us to go buy shit that we can't afford. I don't know if you're familiar with this band or this artist, but I listened to it and I was like, this reminds me of Ritual's Vinyl Tap House. The band is SeDonS, and the record is called Drifter. This was released on K-Scope, which is kind of a prog label. This is not a prog album. This is a shoegazy, kind of noisy, kind of creepy, post-punk dreamy record, right? The sticker here says the new album, I mean, it's not new, this album came out like 8 years ago or something. The new album from the haunting new wave post-punk rock duo featuring multi-instrumentalist Justin Greaves from Crippled Black Phoenix and Swedish singer and lyricist Belinda Kordick. It is, yes, a kind of this haunting, shoegazy, semi-droney, certainly dreamy, but more of like the haunting, gives it more of like that nightmare-y sort of vibe to it. I know they're Scandinavian. I don't know if it's SeDonS, I don't know. Apparently the record they put out before this sounded more like Mazzy Star. So, I mean, they were definitely going from like the more dream pop side, leaning into more of this weird, haunting, atmospheric stuff. The point is, I fucking loved it. So, Richard, give this a look, or for any of those dream pop, not really dream pop, definitely more shoegazy, haunting type stuff. Check out these people. I think it's cool that they're on like a prog label, but such is life. So there you go, people. Thanks for sticking with me 23 minutes in. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one with other shit to show. Take care now. Bye-bye.